Sakai, or the Ghost of Tsushima, is the protagonist of the game of the same name, which is Ghost of Tsushima, not Jin Sakai, and is a masterful protagonist of one of the more interesting PlayStation games in recent years, and thankfully for all of us, you can play it on PC, because anybody without a PlayStation probably can't afford one. What wonderful times we're living in. Thank goodness D&D is so cheap. I have decided to put him into D&D, complete with lots of sneaky stuff and cool abilities, and I thought I'd share it with you all. Hello, my name is Jason, and this is Dungeon Himbo, my channel where I talk about third-party builds like this, D&D builds in general, where I create different characters and break numbers and stuff, do reviews, such as the one featuring the subclasses I will be talking about today, and so very much more. If you like the sound of any of that, please subscribe, maybe like the video, and you can hop into a Discord in the description as well if you would like to do so, and chat about all these things with myself and the other members in the Discord. Before we do that though, let's really dig into who Jin Sakai is, shall we? Once an incredibly proud samurai, Jin Sakai eventually realized how limiting his beliefs were, and understood that in order to actually save anything, sometimes you have to go against what you believe is right. It is because of this that he became the Ghost of Tsushima and took up some stealthier measures alongside his samurai fighting. He is a character who does everything he needs to in order to win, and can defeat enemies in a single hit, and is powered by not only love of his home, but the land itself and the people he believes in and wants to protect, and they power him as such. So how do we all make that in D&D? Well, first we start off with a background. I've gone for Wayfarer here for a few reasons. For starters, it gives us +1 to dexterity, which is going to put us at 16 dexterity, and +2 to wisdom, which will put us at 17. Our last 15 will go in con, the other scores are all 8. Sorry, dump stats. I also think Wayfarer fits thematically for Jin. He is a man seeking a new path, and I feel like they mesh quite nicely. Also gives us the lucky feat, which is a good feat, so that's always a bonus. Sometimes I do end up taking backgrounds I'd rather not because of a dodgy feat, but it gives us a dodgy feat, so it's nice to not have to deal with that. Jin is a human, which is very boring, but does give us a few things. Most notably perception as a skill proficiency here, and versatile lets us choose another origin feat. I have gone for alert to fit into his ability to get the drop on enemies. It feels very fitting. We also get insight and stealth from our background, which puts us at 3 proficiencies straight away, and we are going to kick things off as a rogue. I think the natural inclination here would be to put Jin as a fighter and likely as a samurai and maybe splice that with rogue, but I actually think the new Blade of Radiance rogue from Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt fits that very well. It does have a couple of weaknesses though, which is why we will be multi-classing, as you will see. At level 1 as a rogue, we get just so many skill proficiencies. Take acrobatics, sleight of hand, deception, and intimidation. We're going to get expertise in 2 of those. I've gone for stealth and perception. Being a wisdom-based build means our perception is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and as dex is our secondary stat, stealth is also going to be very, very good, and both fit perfectly with Jin's vibe. We also get sneak attack, which does 1d6 extra damage once per turn, as long as we have advantage on the roll and we're using a finesse or ranged weapon. We don't need advantage on the roll if there is an ally within 5 feet of the target, though as long as the ally is not incapacitated and we don't have disadvantage. The extra damage goes up every other level, so it goes up to 2d6 at rogue level 3, 3d6 at rogue level 5, and so on. We just get Thieves' Can't, which is I think it's Thieves' Can't, sorry. My British accent took over, I couldn't help it. Let's just choose another language, which isn't especially fitting for this. Along with 2 weapon masteries, I am going to take the short sword for Vex and dagger for Nick. There is no katana in D&D as standard, which means that picking a weapon that does that is a little tricky. We will be modifying the weapon, as you will see, by level 4. So the specific weapon we're going for here is more for the flavor and for the weapon mastery. The dagger is a nice little bonus as a second opportunity to sneak attack just in case we miss with the short sword. And Vex obviously gives us advantage on our next attack against the creature as well before the end of our next turn. So it's all good stuff, although we will eventually be dropping the dagger, which can allow you to pick up a different weapon if you would like to do so. A longbow, for example, would be a very good fit, as he does use one in the game. We are then going to say goodbye to Rogue at level 2 and head over to Druid instead, which I know feels a bit weird, but Jin is a character who is powered by his beliefs in his homeland, and I cannot think of anything more fitting for that than a Druid. At level 1, we get a few things. We get spellcasting, which I'll go over the spells we're choosing momentarily. We get Druidic, which is another secret language, so we know 2 of those now. And we get a chance to choose a primal order. While the Warden would make sense most of the time, we are getting access to other armaments later on, so I don't really want to waste this feature on that just to get them earlier. Instead, I've gone for Magician, and we're going for spells which fit the abilities you get in game. So I've gone for Hunter Sense, which allows you to touch a willing creature, and for the duration, the target's senses are heightened, and it allows them to basically not roll lower than a 10 on a perception check, making us very, very good at finding things. For our level 1 spells, we are taking Guidance, because it makes us better at stuff, and Smokescreen, because I feel like it fits the vibe of like a smoke bomb if you're trying to escape. This is a cantrip from Heliana's Guide to Monster Hunting Part 2, which makes a dense black cloud of smoke in a 5-foot diameter, 10-foot high cylinder centered on you that lasts until your next turn. It heavily obscures the area, and when you cast it, you can choose for the cloud to follow you or to stay where it was. The size of the cloud also goes up as we level up, so it's a nice way to hide from view. For our first level spells, we're going to take Clue, which is from Valdez Spyro's Secrets, the original one, the player pack 1, which allows us to investigate the area thoroughly as a ritual, which is lovely. Seeing footsteps and footprints, which is great for that detective mode vibe that so many video game protagonists get these days. I'm also going to recommend Fairy Fire to act as though Jin is concentrating on a character to give you advantage on them. Hits creatures in a cube, they have to make a dex save to avoid it, and if they fail, they can't go invisible, and a few other things, including giving everyone advantage on those creatures. Just be careful because it can hit your friends. I'm also going to go for Longstrider to boost our speed, because this lasts for an hour, which is wonderful if you know you're going into a battle ahead of time. And the Ancestral Communion spell, which is a concentration spell as well. This is likely the one we're going to be concentrating on for the most part. This is an action to cast, and it lasts for a minute. When you cast this, and at the start of each of your turns for the duration, you gain 1 heroic inspiration if you do not have it already, which allows us to give us advantage on our first attack without worrying about Fairy Fire, and that means we can have advantage on all of our attacks, basically because of Vex. Pretty cool. This is from the Crooked Moon book. Level 2, we get Wild Shape, which allows us to turn into a beast. We're not really going to be using that for reasons being that it doesn't really fit, but we also get Wild Companion, which lets us summon a familiar. Having an eagle or something, or a bird or a bat or anything to help you out can trigger your sneak attack, which is super handy, but it can also give you the help action to give you advantage on attacks as well. So we have a lot of ways to generate advantage, and I like the vibe. We're also going to take another level 1 spell here. I recommend Snare, which allows you to make a rope trap, which again fits nicely with what it is we're trying to do. With level 3, we are taking a subclass, which is the main reason we are here. We're taking the Unbroken Circle from Griffin's Saddleback. This is an order of druids who've abandoned the patient teachings of their predecessors, instead taking up arms in defense of the wilderness, which again I feel like fits with Jin trying to protect his homeland. This gives us some cool spells, including a Smite, which is nice, but it mostly gives us Shillelagh, and that is the most important thing here, because when we cast Shillelagh, we can choose any melee weapon we are holding as the target, which allows us to turn our short sword from a flimsy attack into one which will eventually deal 2d6 damage on its hit as standard, plus anything else we can do, which is amazing. We can also use it as our spellcasting focus. Being able to do this is really, really good for obvious reasons, mostly that it allows us to completely lean into wisdom, which we will need to do thanks to the subclass we're going in Rogue when we get there. It also gives us the Wild Recovery ability, which allows us to, as a bonus action, expend a Wild Shape to gain a number of hit points, which are 2d6 plus your Druid level. While we're not taking any more Druid levels here, that's still a nice little bit of healing, which can be useful in a pinch. We also get 1 second level spell. I recommend Dark Vision, as we're a human and we don't have it as standard, and it's nice to have access to. Say goodbye to Druid. We're heading back to the Rogue. So at level 5, we're taking Rogue 2, which is the follow-up to Rogue 1, I presume. This was a stupid joke, I'm sorry. This gives us Cunning Action, which allows us to, as a bonus action, dash, disengage, or hide, but it also upgrades our Shillelagh, which means that our short sword now does a d10 of damage, along with using our preferred stat, and we can both nick and smite, which gives us 1 really heavy hit. Basically, if you manage to hit with either of your attacks, your sneak attack is 1d6, and your smite is going to be 2d6, and the creature shines as well. It's a nice mix of abilities, and while the damage isn't great yet, we will get there, I promise. The damage is 13.83, assuming an AC of 15 at this point. It'll get better, I promise. Speaking of getting better, I just want to give a thank you to my YouTube members and my Patreon members as well. I appreciate you all greatly. You make it a little bit easier to do all of this video stuff, which I am ramping up. We're doing 2 videos a week and have been for a while, but I'm trying to improve the overall quality and put more time into the thumbnails and stuff like that. And your support makes that a lot easier to do. Back to the video. At level 6, we are going to be a level 3 rogue, which allows us to get steady aim, which allows us as a bonus action to give advantage on an attack roll. We're going to be having so many bonus actions, and we have so much advantage anyway. It's not really necessary with our build. We're also going to be taking the Blade of Radiance from Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt. This is the coolest rogue subclass I've seen in ages. While the flavour of it in the book is that it's a zealous fervour towards a church, I think we can kind of co-opt that and put that as a zealous dedication to protecting the homeland. It meshes quite nicely with Druid on that front, and they're both wisdom main stats as well. But why is this rogue a wisdom main stat? That is a very good question. Well, it's because of the divine blessings. These give you divine points, 1 plus your wisdom modifier, which means we really do want a good wisdom score. At the moment, this is 4, as we have a 17 in wisdom. We've yet to take a feat. We get all points back on a short or long rest, but we also get a point back if we killed an aberration, beast, fiend, or undead with a CR of 1/2 or higher with our Sanctified Blade. We'll talk about what the Sanctified Blade is in a second. We have saves for this, which is a DC of 8 plus your wisdom plus your proficiency bonus. Obviously, it's good to boost wisdom for that too. And we get a few cool actions. As a reaction, if a creature targets you with an attack, you can expend a divine point to force the creature to make a wisdom save. On a failed save, the attacker must choose a new target, which is wonderful, and the creature can't attack you with an attack until the start of your next turn either. You can also use a divine point to re-roll any history, religion, or insight checks you use, which is nice, and you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier, even if you wouldn't normally use it. And Rend the Blasphemous is the thing that we will be switching to as our bonus action here, as when we take the attack action with our Sanctified Blade, again, I'm getting to it, you can take a bonus action and expend 1 divine point to attack again with your Sanctified Blade. You gain a bonus to this attack roll equal to your wisdom modifier, which makes it even more accurate. Our accuracy here is actually pretty substantial because we're basically using our wisdom twice. It's like having expertise in attacks, which isn't a thing you get because it's silly. So it's good stuff. Sanctified Champion is the Sanctified Blade thing. This gives us proficiency with martial weapons in general and training with medium armor, which is a nice bump to our AC. Also, when we finish a short rest, we can perform a ritual on any melee weapon we're proficient with that deals piercing or slashing damage, sanctifying it. Our sword does piercing or slashing damage, our short sword, which means that we can sanctify it. It gains the finesse property if it doesn't already have one, which does allow you to use a strength build rogue if you want to go for that. That's obviously not what we're doing here, but that is something that you can do if you'd like to. Instead, we're going to be sanctifying our short sword and then using it shillelagh on it to get extra damage and use our wisdom modifier. It's all pretty cool stuff. That's everything at level 6. Level 6 was a big one for us. Level 7 thankfully isn't. At level 7 we are going rogue 4, which gives us a feat. I'm going to take observant because I think it fits Jin's vibe. So lets us boost our wisdom to 18 and allows us to gain expertise in a skill. We're gaining expertise in insight, which means that we now have 3 expertise, which is pretty cool. Level 8 is rogue 5 for us. This gives us uncanny dodge and cunning strike. Cunning strike lets you sacrifice sneak attack dice for different effects. We're not going to be doing that, but it's nice to have the option if you are playing this kind of thing. And uncanny dodge lets us take a reaction to halve damage against us. We do currently have our reaction, so it's not bad to be able to do that. Level 9 is rogue 6 for us. We're going to get 2 more expertise. I'm going to take acrobatics and intimidation. We have a lot of expertise here. We are very good at skills, yeah, more so than most rogues, I would say. Level 10 is rogue 7 for us, where we get evasion, which means that if we do a dex save against an effect that would deal damage, we only take half if we fail and we take no damage if we succeed. I cannot stress enough how powerful this feature is. It's one of my favorites. We also get reliable talent, which allows us to, when we roll an ability check with a skill or tool proficiency that we are proficient in, we can treat any roll on a d20 that is 9 or lower as a 10, which makes us fantastic at everything. basically. We also get our rogue sneak attack up to 4d6 now. As I said, instead of using the smite as our bonus action, we're going to be using an extra attack, because 2d6, which is an average of 7 damage, whereas 1d10 plus 4 is more than that. It is 9.5 average damage. I am still going to be including the dagger for damage here, but it is worth noting that you can pretty much drop it if you would rather have a longbow as your backup, as it only adds 2.5 extra damage. And we're so good at hitting things anyway that the extra chance to hit isn't going to be useful unless the enemy AC is truly absurd. Against an enemy AC of 17, we will be averaging 31.3 damage, which is a nearly triple what we were running level 5. So not a bad increase. Level 11 puts us at Rogue 8. I'm going to take Shadow Touched here to take the Wisdom bump to 19, which is obviously important because we want to max that out. We also get Invisibility, which is just Jin being real good at hiding. And we get Loki's Escape, which lets us gain the invisible condition until the end of our next turn. And while the spell lasts, you can use your bonus action to move around without provoking opportunity attacks. Although it is worth noting, when you're invisible, creatures cannot take opportunity attacks against you unless they can see you. So unless they've got true sight or something akin to that, they're not going to be able to do that anyway. But still, more invisibility is more good. Nobody can argue with that. Also, as we're level 11 here, our Shillelagh goes up again to a D12, which is just fantastic. Level 12 is going to be Rogue 9 for us. This is our next bump to general cool stuff. Not only does our sneak attack go up to 5d6, which is handy, we get 3 new abilities we can use our divine points on. We can use Chains of Judgment to force a strength save or restrain a creature along with dealing damage to them. We can spend 2 divine points when we would attack a creature and deal sneak attack damage to forego the sneak attack, and instead a 5 foot wide and 45 foot long line, including them and behind them, that everyone in that space has to make a dex save or they will take radiant damage equal to your sneak attack damage. This is quite good. As long as there are 2 creatures here, this makes your sneak attack damage at least as good, and if there are 3, it's just better. So that's really, really cool. It does cost 2 divine points though. We are now at 5 divine points, so 2 isn't the most, but we're trying to use them pretty consistently for just general hits. So it's one that you should use when it's good, but not necessarily all the time. The final option is Divine Retaliation, which allows us to, when we are damaged with a melee attack by a creature and we're wielding our Sanctified Blade, which we always are, we can expend a divine point in our reaction to make an attack against the creature that attacked us, and you gain a bonus to the damage roll equal to your wisdom modifier, which is fantastic. It is worth noting that if you are looking to conserve your divine points, it could be worth considering the smite again as your bonus action, or using one of the multitude of other bonus actions that you have in order to conserve your divine points. It does depend on how many fights you think you're going to be getting into and that kind of stuff. If you're fighting aberrations and fiends and beasts, you don't need to do that because you're probably getting your points back pretty regularly. Level 13 is Rogue 10, which is our secret extra feat. I am taking one from Dr. Rollins' Dictionary of Dinosaurs, which is the Arcane Enchanter feat. This boosts our wisdom to 20, and as an action, we can imbue our weapon with an extra 1d6 of additional damage. Along with that, at level 16, that damage goes up higher as we get to add our proficiency bonus to it, which is wonderful stuff. It does mean we now have a setup round, but that's not the end of the world. Level 14 is Rogue 11 for us. We can use 2 Cunning Strike features if we want, and our sneak attack goes up to 66. And level 15 is Rogue 12. I am going to be taking Focused Critical. We are taking 3 attacks. They're pretty much all with advantage all the time. You just can't judge me. Critting with a sneak attack, especially now that we're adding an extra d6, and we will soon be rolling 2d6 for our weapon instead of 1d12. The opportunity is just too good. It would feel too good to crit. So yes, lots of critting. With our sword, we are still throwing a dagger just because it's there, and we are reaction attacking very consistently. Brings our damage up to 90.97, which is once again nearly a 300% increase, although that's not going to happen again for the last damage check-in. Level 16, we get to Saintly Revelation. This gives you 2 cantrips along with some spells, including Heroism. Well, it gives you Heroism, Protection from Evil or Good, and Shield of Faith, which you can cast for free, targeting yourself whenever you want. It's nice to have the opportunity to have those, as well as the cantrips. Pick your favorite for the cantrips. Also at level 17, these spells don't require concentration, which is great. Heroism is a banger, so is Shield of Faith if you need more AC. Level 17 is Rogue 14, where we get Devious Strikes, which is yet more cunning actions, cunning strike options we're just not going to be using. Level 18, we get Slippery Mind as we are Rogue 15, which gives us proficiency in both Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. Level 19, we are Rogue 16. We're going to take the Boon of Combat Prowess to, if we miss with an attack, we can just hit instead. You can only use this once before the start of your next turn, so you could use this on the attack that misses. Given that we have advantage on everything, it's not going to happen often. You could also consider the boon which boosts your radiant damage and allows you to maximize it, as our Sanctified Blade can do radiant damage, but I think I like this one overall. And our final level is level 17 Rogue, which is level 20 for our build. This gives us even more cool stuff. We can, as a no action, make our blade glow, which adds 2d4 extra damage per hit with it. And we can also, as a magic action, cast Spirit Guardians without spell slots or components. The spirits count as an ally of us for our sneak attack purposes, which is fantastic, and also it's Spirit Guardians. And we are maining Wisdom, so it's going to be pretty hard to save against. It's a nice little damage boost, but I'm not including it in the numbers. Speaking of the numbers, we are rounding this build out with 133.18 damage average, with a relatively decent crit chance, with advantage and an improved crit range, of course 3 different attacks. We have so many ways of going invisible and getting advantage, and if you sort to a longbow as one of your proficiencies, you can do a lot of this from range as well. It is very strong. I think this is a really cool combination of subclasses. Actually, I was umming and ahhing about how to make this work, and Canlith in my Discord was kind enough to remind me that the Unbroken Circle lets you mess with the rules of Shillelagh a little bit, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Jin is an incredibly cool protagonist, and I think this represents him quite nicely while avoiding the typical he's a human fighter thing, which a lot of video game protagonists end up being. I hope that you enjoyed this one. This is one of my favourite builds I've done in recent times, and is one I feel like would be a lot of fun to actually play, just because of the sheer breadth of options that you have. As to say nothing of magic items or anything else that you might have to make the build stronger, as none of my builds include those unless you can make the magic items yourself. But that is it for me. I hope that you are well and continue to do well. I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead of you, and I will see you whenever it is I next see you. Please check out some of my other builds. I will have a link to them. I keep doing this. I was going to say I'm not losing my mind, but I might be. Until next time, take care of yourself. Goodbye.